Hi everyone, I'm Sumit. I'm a solution architect at Signetic. I'm from Nepal and I'm currently living in Seattle. I'm also a Microsoft MVP and fast track solution architect. Today I'll be walking you through how we built and shipped AI agents in our live healthcare environment. I will talk about the technical decisions, what worked, what didn't, and the lessons that we learned during our implementation. Next slide, please. So, talking about Signetic, we are a HIPAA-compliant cloud-hosted platform for pharmacy and clinic operations. We manage clinical operations like scheduling, billing, immunizations, reporting, and claim processing, all built on top of Microsoft Power Platform. So Power Apps, Power Automate, Dataverse are all heart of it. We started in 2016 as a digital transformation company. We used to help clients convert their paper-based operation into digital workflows. And during the pandemic, we supported the flu vaccinations effort before the COVID-19 vaccinations rolled out. We then expanded our work to support COVID-19 vaccinations. Now, the story that give us credibility, as Samir mentioned, in 2020, we deployed a mass vaccination system at Lumen Field, home of Seattle Seahawks, which was ultimately used to vaccinate 800,000 people. At that time, I was in Nepal. Our team was in the ground in US. I was on support calls in the night, Nepal time, making sure everything stayed up and running, and we were processing around like 20,000 people a day. Samir was one of them, I guess. So I was just there making sure nothing breaks. And honestly, apart from few hiccups, it didn't break. That gives us a real confidence that Dataverse and Power Apps' ability to handle things at scale. And from there, we built on top of it the enterprise capabilities like scheduling, billing, reporting. For data and insights, we use Power BI, and now we have used AI using Copilot. Next slide, please. So let me set a stage for what pharmacy operations look like before Signetic. Patients were walking in, filling out papers by hand. Staff had to manually enter those records into the system, which created long lines out of backlog. Immunization records were often missing because they used to miss the 24-hour reporting deadline because they had to type out everything. And claim and billing were done by hand, leading to slow reimbursement and more errors. With Signetic, patients self-register via QR, no clipboard, no clues, and staff work off their Canvas app in real time. Immunization records auto-submit within minutes. And now with the AI agents, things change. Billing operators can now quickly understand and fix billing errors. They no need to long wait for and do and back and forth with the insurance companies. The agents help and guide the processes, reduce the workflows that used to take weeks down to something much faster and simpler. Next slide. So this is the part where we want to be really honest about because we built an agent initially and we were really proud of it. We did a demo and we made it for our billing operators. They, uh, as usual, they said they will use it, and then instead of using the AI agent, they just do the work that they just used to do it manually. Not because the AI agent were difficult, because these people were sharp people handling like 50 to 60 claims a day under real pressure, but they don't have the bandwidth to babysit a tool that slows them down or get it wrong and leaves them to clean up the mess. So we've been treating the adoption as a communication problem and thought of like better training or better documentation will solve it, but it wasn't. It was the problem with the product itself. The AI was not good enough at that point. So the agent at that point could tell you that claims were rejected. It could tell you the error code. It could tell you, but what it couldn't tell you was why it actually happened and exactly what to do to fix it. The operator would ask why this claim was rejected and get back something like rejection code 76, plan limitation exceeded, which is technically correct but completely useless. They already knew that. They already needed to know is the billing date wrong? Is the NDC code wrong? Did the patient hit their annual limit, or the agent was not answering that? It was just rewording the errors slightly in a friendlier language, which honestly might be the worst than just throwing up the raw code. So we went back, we sat with the operators, watched what they actually did step by step. When the claims came back rejected, understood what a good answer for them looked like, not to us. We rebuilt the prompt, connected it properly with the patient record, plan details, claim history. So when someone asks why this claim was rejected, the agent came back with the claim that was rejected because patient's annual benefit limit was reached on this particular date, or NDC submitted does not match with the formula, or the and it'll tell, like, okay, here are the 3 steps you can take to fix this error. So we ran 2 tracks in parallel. On the dev side, we tightened the agent test against the real synthetic claims, realistic synthesized error, and real edge cases, and embedded it within our model-driven app. So we deliberately put a icon, chat icon, in our model-driven app where they could just click it and the agent would pop up. So and on the user side, we did another demo, same room, same people, except for this time, halfway through, one of the operators asks if they can start using it from that day. So that was the moment we were aiming for. And when that happens, we don't need a rolling out tool. It was just a genuine adoption afterwards. Next slide, please. So again, as I mentioned, we didn't start with the technology. After learning from our failure, we started just by sitting with the people, watching, timing tasks, asking, why do you do this way? Why do you do that way? And the answer we kept hearing was, that's us. That's just how we do it. And that phrase was our first agent. Every time somebody says that, there's an automation hiding underneath it. Nobody says that that's just how we do it about something they really enjoy. They say it about things that been broken for years and nobody will fix it because everybody assumed it was too complicated. For us, there were 2 of those moments. One was the prior authorization agent, which the workflow would take 2 hours per case, completely manually, and hated by everyone. And the another is the billing part, where operator would spend 30 to 45 minutes investing a single rejected claim, digging error codes, cross-referencing document, figuring out what went wrong, how to fix it. 2 very different workflows, but same root problems. Smart people spending most of the time of the day on the things that they should not require them to be solving it. And those became our 2 starting point, not because they were most technically interesting problem, because they were the ones people eyes lit up when we said, what if you don't have to do that anymore? So second, we built it with operators, not for them, but we built with them. That's the big difference where we went wrong in our first phase. We sat with the billing staff, watched how they work, ran early prototypes, passed them before anything was finished. Half time, they'd point something and say, "Yeah, that's not how it's actually work," and they were right. You can get them from the requirement, and those kind of conversation we could not have get from the requirement documentation. And third, we didn't build one tool and hand it to everyone. We segregate different agents for different people. Billing operators got one app, pharmacy got the different one, same platform underneath, Power Platform and Dataverse at the heart of it. So we shaped how each team actually worked day by day, and critically, agent live inside the app. Would be able to easily access the agent through the app itself, so that they don't have to go to a new tab and then find the agent location. It was just directly there. You can see that in the demo as well. Small step, but made a big difference in our workflow. And the fourth, we treated rollout like a project with actual milestone. The goal wasn't just there to launch it and declare it as a victory. It was to get to the point where they didn't need us in the room anymore. Next slide, please. So yeah, let me talk about the technical foundation, because architecture decisions here are what made the AI layer actually work in production. So everything sits on top of Microsoft Power Platform with Dataverse as a central data store. One data unified layer across patient records, claim history, appointments, and billing data, everything within the Dataverse. And on the patient fronting side, we have React and Node application, fully customized UI, uh, because we have a specific need for patients to register and separate a specific workflow to follow. So they could schedule appointments, do a pre-screening. We use different Azure services on top of the Azure functions like Azure Service Burst, which act as a missing backbone for claim and notification events. The part that actually helped us with the AI agent a lot was the Dataverse MCP, because after the MCP was implemented, given out our agent, and give them the understanding of what each table does. So when an agent has to retrieve a patient record or has to retrieve a patient's appointment or services, it didn't had to hit a pre-built endpoint. It's just about the reasoning about what they need to pull, and it could use Dataverse MCP to pull that information. That what made our agent fully autonomous end to end, especially in the prior auth workflow, without any additional customization. I won't go details about the architecture, but yeah, you can take a look about all the services that we have used. Next slide. So we have two agents in production built in Copilot, but following different architecture platform. Billing Ops agent is a retrieval augment conversational agent. It combines live database queries via MCP with the knowledge source ingested into Copilot, like NCBTB error code documentation, payer-specific guidelines, internal SOPs. The agent reasons across both claim structured data and unstructured documentation simultaneously to return a specific actionable response per claim. Uh, for our prior auth agent, which is a full autonomous workflow, agentic workflow, event driven, triggered by Power Automate, no human in the loop, but we have humans for the requesting, for the approval purpose. It handles the identification, fetch the data dynamically from the Dataverse via MCP server along with its services, and then it does the form generation and submission end to end. So, talking a bit about the billing ops agent, the billing and claim process in healthcare is genuinely complicated and very notorious. So, every payer has its own rule, their own interpretation of the same error code. So instead of hunting through the bookmarks, asking colleagues, operators would just ask the agent, how do I reverse this claim? Or which tab for the status of the authorization? It knows the navigations guide of our system for each of the payer and help them to land in the right place directly. The agent is grounded in two things. First, a rich set of knowledge documents that has business logic, billing logic, peer specific rule, and most importantly, a full interpretation of what each table in our database schema does and how they relate to each other. So agents does not the so the agent doesn't just know the process, it understands the model beneath it. Second, a live data from the database via MCP, so every answer is grounded in actual record and not a generalized record based on the knowledge document. So that combination is what makes it useful, and useful for harder questions like how is per service line coverage and adjustment, and for this patient responsibility being calculated from this probably something like an 835 remittance data. So those kind of complicated question, it bundles up with the knowledge source uh, plus the user's record from the dataverse, and gives you the answer. So the answer, that what this did was replace the 30 to 45 minutes per claim time that the billing operators used to spend, and the operators put it best. The problem was never the volume of the claims that they didn't use to process, it was the cognitive load. The agent absorbed the first layer of the cognitive pressure of debugging each of the errors, and they could actually focus on what human judgment was required. Next slide. So the prior authorization, which is a fully autonomous with human approval mechanism before submission, a patient emails in for to send a prior authorization request, and that was trigger the agent. From that moment, the agent reads the email, verifies patient's identity, name, and date of birth. If anything is missing, it emails back asking for it. Once verified, it queries Dataverse via MCP and retrieves the patient record and appointment data in real time. It generates a complicated prior auth form, which the form varies based on payer. So each payer have this own form and generates the fill up that form, emails it to the requester for the final approval before sending it directly to the insurer. And what this replaced is spending 2 hours per case collecting patient info, filling up the forms. Each payer have its own data to be collected. So that manually data collection part was also automatically done. And then that technical unlock made the whole workflow very easy for them. Now they don't have to spend and collect payer specific data. The agent would just do it and fill the form and generate it. Simple workflow, but again, made a very, very big impact in the overall productivity of our billing operators. So let's look at the demo for our implementation.
Signetic delivers a comprehensive suite of interface for patient, staff. Within our model-driven app, we have Billing Ops agent embedded here to significantly reduce the cognitive burden on billing operators. Instead of searching through static manuals, user gets immediate answer to procedure questions such as how do I review a newly created claim? It gives you steps to take, corrections that you can make. Intelligence is managed within Copilot Studio by utilizing a Dataverse MCP server. The agent maintains a secure real-time connection to the live data. The knowledge source stores specific billing SOPs, ensuring every response align with internal logic. Connection with the Dataverse not just allow a generic response, but agent can retrieve the exact failure reasons from the Dataverse. For example, I have this claim, and if I want to know why this claim was rejected, I would copy its ID and will ask reason for failing. Now it's telling me that it was identified as a duplicate claim and it gives us some recommended solution to fix those. Signetic billing operator agent converts complex data into actionable steps, optimizing the entire revenue cycle. Now we have another agent specifically for prior authorization request, which automates the critical step of securing insurance approval before the care begins. Here in Staff app, a provider has scheduled Gracie R-Lang for Medicaid therapy management. The provider simply sends an email to the agent. The prior auth agent receives the request and immediately begins extracting clinical history, eliminating manual searching. But as you can see here, I got a response that it couldn't find any patient matching the name and date of birth because I didn't provide that information. So I will be requesting with the name, date of birth, and name of the service. So our agent has been triggered through an email. Behind the scenes in Copilot Studio, the agent's intelligence is managed through Dataverse MCP server. Agent flows, system securely pulls Grace specific medication list providers data and map them to the exact logic instruction for compliance submission. After the agent flow runs, we get an email with a form being filled, and then I can go here and approve it. After a final review of the generated form and approved prompt, the agent dispatches the document to the insurance carrier and updates the Grace's appointment in real status. Signetic's AI automates administrative burdens, moving patients like Grace to their therapy faster.
All right, so some of the key takeaways from our implementation. So the first step we took was auditing where the time is actually going. We didn't start with the technology, we start with the stopwatch and a notepad. We sat with the team, timed the tasks. When you dig into the tasks, where the time is actually going, it's not just one big thing, it's hundred of the small ones. Operators trying to figure out why a claim is behaving unexpectedly, tracing through the remittance data manually through Spot was something where things went wrong. And again, things like authorization form that users saw in the demo. Every payer has its own different fields, different data requirements, different ways they want the same information structured. So our staff weren't just filling out a form, but they were filling out forms which were depending on where the data needs to go and hunting down the data from different places every single time for a single payer. So what did we look for? We just look for tasks that used to be done every day, same way, manual copy paste between the system, processes that have been never questioned because nobody has time to question them. Second is engaging frontline users before you build. Yeah, the users that knew the things that we could never get into the requirement document. So our billing operators taught us what good answers from the agent look like. Our pharmacy staff flagged edge cases which we would have never caught in the testing. We input every prompts. We did job shadow sessions, prototype reviews, and that's why agent got used instead of being quietly abandoned. The third is building a role specific tool. One tool doesn't fit for everyone, so we have separate agents for billing operators and for staff. Give them tools that match their actual workflow, and again, putting that small icon within the app that they use every day made a big change. Next slide. Uh, then we made the adoption a structured process because adoption doesn't happen by itself. We treated it as a project with week one being live demo with real synthetic claims, and then their actual uh, errors were being shown as something that we could fix. Week two and three, guided use side by side with the dev team, and week four onward, independent use. And then, like after a couple of months, they were started asking for if they could automate a new workflow that they are having painful time with. So they are coming with asking more. So that's one of the place where we have one as well. And also, let's successfully adoption, not a mandate. So after prior auth agent went live, again, pharmacy came us with asking for if they can do it for the eligibility. That's something we didn't pitch them, but they came up with a request as well because they have seen what agent could do and wanted more of it. That's the dynamic we were aiming for, and we built something undeniably useful for them. That's the next wave of adoption that just found us. So our AI team's ongoing job has been keep on asking what's still most painful, monthly prompt reviews with the users, track users and error rates, finding the next target, and because there's always a next target. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that great presentation, Summit. Super excited to see this. So we saw how Signetic's presentation highlighted how they transformed healthcare operations by replacing manual and paper-based workflows with digital platform powered by Power Platform and Copilot Studio. So by embedding AI agents into everyday processes like billing and prior authorizations, they automated complex tasks, reduced errors, and scaled efficiently. So this was great to see while driving the adoption through the user-focused design and measurable business value. Definitely, it was great to see as you demonstrated. So appreciate it so much. So now we will move to Afni to present their stories. So over to you, Kashik.
Yes, thank you, Lupe. And thank you, Samit. I think some of those things that you mentioned, like smarter people, are pretty relatable, and I have some of those that I want to share too. And thank you, everyone, for being here. And I know it's a Wednesday afternoon, but thank you for taking the time. I'm Kaushik, Manager of Intelligent Automation at Afni, and I'll be walking you through our AI adoption journey and a very simple use case that actually got a lot of traction in our organization, and how actually a simple use case changed the way we think about scaling AI or AI agents across our organization. Next slide, please. Awesome. This is a quick snapshot of Afni. We have been operating since 1936. We are privately held. We have around 12,000 agents. And when I say 12,000 agents, these are desktop or human agents across 36 million, do 36 million interactions year to year across sales, customer service, collections, and insurance workflows. We operate across the globe, presently in US, Philippines, and Mexico. And our compliance posture is strong. And this matters because when we are actually deploying AI in regulated environments, governance has to be baked in from the start, and um, that's how actually we started off with our AI journey too. Um, Next slide, please. Awesome. Just wanted to walk you through how we adopted AI, or our exploration journey across. And this was not long. This was Q3 of 2024, where we started exploration, or our exploration state, where we did market research, upskilling teams, and building use cases. But this was where we were not rushing into tools. We were looking at multiple tools in the market and seeing what fits in, and all of those on a parallel note from in the Q4 2024 till Q1 of 2025. We were working um, on a lean governance COE. This would just be for like a risk classification framework, and setting up like in sandbox environments where people can play in. Um, it's a free hand. So the lean governance would help people, not to limit people, but it was actually to help them experiment on different tools and different ways that they wanted to explore. And Q2 of 2025 was when we actually deployed M365 across the organization. We kicked off like a champion program across, and keeping in mind the similar governance to max creativity across the organization. And the results, in 2026 or early 2025, Copilot across organization and functions were more. We were able to build more AI models and AI powered automations across the organization. Right now, exploring semantic kernel, but actually in Q4 of 2025, I actually won agent hack at Power Platform conference, and I'm guessing that's what brought me here. But yeah, I this is pretty much what worked for us, and we're looking to expand on this more going forward. Next slide, please. Awesome. Wanted to start off with a simple use case. I know this is not much architecture, but that's actually what the agent does. This is a simple and a generic use case across each and every organization, and this is actually for smart goal evaluation. And I know you'll have every quarter or yearly ones you need to put in goals, and every time you do that, you are spending around like 30 to 40 minutes to refine your goals and to make them. So we use smart framework, so we have to align according to our smart approach. And this is where it's a simple Copilot bot that matches your goal towards like a smart framework, and we are able to leverage this under 5 minutes. And right now in Q1 of 2026, we saw around 3,000 employees that are adapting this and refining their goals every quarter. Um, Actually, I'll walk you through a quick demo. Next slide. Awesome, thank you. So this is a pretty simple tool which helps employees write their goals effectively, and which is grounded with our knowledge pillars and department specific pillars, which are HR here. So employees right now are able to put in a simple goal that they want to answer, and it actually rates them according to a smart framework and provides them with a rewritten answer and which pillar or a strategic pillar that they can map it to. Um, And that's the idea. It's very straightforward, and it helps employees. They can put in a goal at a time, or they can put in like a bulk of goals that they want to get their feedback on, and it pretty much writes them, like reframes them according to the smart standards, their department standards, and based on our Afni's um, strategic pillar initiative that we are looking for. And this is actually grounded with that information. And yeah, I think there was a follow-up question which was put in, but yeah, if you can see, it does not answer anything more than it should, and that's Copilot grounding that's been working on the background. And thank you for sharing that. So a quick thing that I wanted to bring up was this tool was actually zero training, and it was like day one usable. Like people were starting to use it from day one without even going through rigorous trainings, or HR did prepare some material, but yeah, people were starting to see, and we were able to see the traction from day one. And I think that was the power of starting simple. Um, the most interesting turning point was like this was actually the wow factor. We had very complex use cases that included semantic search and multiple other use cases that involved MCP and complex things. I guess pointing to a similar use case of Summit is maybe the people are smarter, something like those, but we were still not able to get the traction which we needed on these complex use cases, which we personally thought would be like one of the best things for the business. Business was still, yeah, there was no high adaptation, very low traction. And when we actually launched our smart goals, that was when, you know, it kicked in. It was like people started using it, even smarter people or everybody started using it. And that's where, we actually changed the mindset where trust is the main factor, I think, for Copilot usage, because after the smart goals, we have several other use cases from HR that are coming in. And I think that's where we realized the potential of starting very simple, building confidence, and then expanding. And that's a formula that worked for Afni right now, and hopefully work for everyone. But next slide, please. Awesome. As I was saying earlier, start simple, just build trust across, and um, like best people, like empowered champions was a great thing that we did. Like few champions across different areas, and they were able to train people on different things and ease the adaptation of um, any solution and Copilot solutions, of course. And the governance framework set up, I did see a couple of organizations where their governance were set up to restrict or put guardrails on people, and I don't think that should be done. It should be a way that should enable you to explore more opportunities, but setting those standards. And I think that's how adaptation would be more feasible and helpful, and measure everything. So this is where we realize the real value is when you measure everything from App Insights or Dataverse, or we are actually building our own dashboard, but this is the key factor of your success, and it would be measuring everything. And this is actually an interesting last point. Scale with orchestration is an interesting one where, you know, if you, when you think about an agent, think of it outside of the box, because you would soon end up with a swarm of agents, and you need one specialized agent or a front door agent, which would route you to your multiple different agents. And that's what I mean by scale with orchestration. You need one orchestration agent across different areas, and if you can route that to individual agents or the multi-agent framework, that's actually a seamless experience in your org, and that's something which we're seeing right now. And yeah, I hope thank you all for your time. I hope this helps you all, and I'm happy to take any questions or anything further.
All right. Thank you so much, Kashik, for that great presentation. We appreciate learning more about your high impact use case. So, just to recap, Afni's presentation highlighted how it's advancing AI adoption through a structured based approach, moving from exploration and governance to enterprise wide scaling. So, by starting off simple, high impact use cases like its smart goal evaluator agent, Afni demonstrated how delivering immediate value builds trust, accelerates adoption, and creates a strong foundation for expanding AI across the business. So thank you so much. Sure. Thank you to Sumit and Kashik for sharing your journey with our audience today. We really appreciate